San Francisco Bay Area musicians are legendary for dedicating themselves to good works and donating their time and performances to charitable causes. When their own community was hit by the Loma Prieta earthquake on October 17, 1989, the call went out again. They responded without hesitation. Organized by concert promoter Bill Graham, some 50 music and comedy acts, including Los Lobos, Santana, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Bonnie Raitt, John Fogerty, Neil Young, and Steve Miller, performed on November 26, 1989, at 3 separate concert venues in Watsonville, San Francisco, and Oakland. Unable to make the November 26 benefit, the Grateful Dead played their earthquake relief benefit on December 6, 1989. They opened with, of course, Shakedown Street. Here is the KQED Bill Graham joint press conference announcing this historic event.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming this morning. If you don't know me, I'm Tony Tiano. I'm with KQED. And we have a very important announcement to make to you all this morning, and one we're very, very excited about. I got a call about 2 weeks ago from Bill Graham, who said that he had something very interesting that he wanted to try to do. And Bill Graham, I've learned, never makes any small plans. So what we have been doing for the last couple of weeks is trying to put together what I think is probably one of the most comprehensive and far-reaching concerts that has ever been done in the Bay Area. And I want to introduce to you somebody who's been an absolute joy to work with, he and his staff, for the last couple of years, and a fellow who has just done a magnificent job of pulling something together, Bill Graham. Bill.
Hi. We all know that we live in a very special area, and we're fortunate to have in the community the attitude that we've had all through these years. And now that we all share a common grief, the earthquake, we called upon the artists, the comedians, the dancers, the instrumentalists in the community to see what kind of a response we could get with the hope of raising substantial funds with the help of KQED on a telethon and also the facilities that we have in the Bay Area. We can tell you with all honesty that it wasn't a single artist from any walk that said no. The majority of them said, I'm in on that date. The rest said, I wish I could make it on that date. I can't, but put something else together on another date, and I'm there. I don't know of any other part of the universe that not only has such a wealth of talent living in a specific area, that is as communicative as they have always been from the days in the 60s on through this era. So the immediate plan is to stage shows at HJK in Oakland with a long array of Bay Area talent, and another one at the Cow Palace. And we've got the order 90% firm, but we have the likes of Santana and Neil Young and Crosby, Stills, Nash and John Fogerty and Los Lobos, and from the great days of yesteryear, the new Quicksilver Messenger Service and Big Brother and the Chambers Brothers, and many, many artists that have not even been together for a long time. But when we called them and said, this is Northern California, they just said, we're in. When? Where? All of these shows will take place on Sunday, December 26th, except one will take place on November 26th, I'm sorry. On December 6th, the Grateful Dead couldn't make it on this date, but wanted to be very much a part of this. So they'll be playing Oakland Coliseum on December 6th as part of this program. The other specific show will take place in Watsonville, and we all who live here are pretty well aware of what happened in the Santa Cruz and Hollister and Watsonville areas that the rest of the world might not be aware of, is the totality of the devastation, especially in the downtown areas of all those communities. And we felt that it was only right to bring something to that area and to try to make the ticket price available on their level for the time being because of what's the distraught situation down there. The ticket down there will be a $5 ticket. We have been allowed to use the Watsonville High School Stadium field, and we are very fortunate to have Carlos Santana and his band appear, and Los Lobos, and Square Root, and some of the other bands from that area, and last but certainly not least, the Watsonville High School Marching Band will be on that show. That'll be at, we will start there at 11 a.m. because we're outdoors on a football field and we don't have lights, so that should go from about 11 to 5. The other shows are somewhere from 1 or 2 to, but it's all in your programs that you'll be getting, or the press releases. The important thing that we can't stress strongly enough is that this is very special. This is a very special part of the country. Those of us who come from other places know that very, very well. Some of you might be spoiled in not knowing what's out there in the rest of the world. And the response, again, is that extraordinary, because I think the artists realize they but for the fickle finger of fate go I. And this is nature. It was a 15-second war. And they've responded, and we're looking to the citizens of the Bay Area to respond and give us a lot of money.
Okay. Bill, don't go away. Let me give you some information about the broadcast of this. The first thing is I should tell you that for public broadcasting, this is a first and a unique experience. In KQED's 35-year history, it will be the first time that we've been on the air raising money for an other cause other than KQED. We have had great support from the television station in San Jose, KTEH, Channel 54, which will be carrying the entire broadcast, and also will be producing the segments from the Watsonville site. We will be carried 12 hours, noon to midnight or thereabouts, on the 26th. Other stations that will be carrying are included in your press release, but we do have commitments from KCET in Los Angeles, so this program will be carried in the southern part of the state as well. And we have commitments from KCSM Channel 60, Coffee Channel 20, KMTF in Fresno, KRCB in Rohnert Park, KRON here in San Francisco, KTEH in San Jose, as I said, KVIE in Sacramento. And in radio, it will be carried live with a simulcast on KQED FM, which is now carrying this press conference, and KFOG FM and KOFY AM and FM, along, as I said, with the other television stations. It is an unprecedented event for public broadcasting and an unprecedented event for us at KQED. The only request that we have made to the commercial stations is that it be carried on a sustaining basis. In other words, that it be carried commercial-free so that we raise as much money as we can for the people who have been hurt by the earthquake. And also, we hope at the same time begin celebrating the vitality of the Bay Area. Before we talk about the recipient organizations, and we've had quite a bit of research on this matter, I thought I would turn it back to Bill to talk a little bit about what is a really special commitment that he and his organization have personally made. Bill?
Thank you. I moved here from the East 33 years ago, and sometime after that was fortunate to get into the music industry. And as time passed and we formed an organization that began to work with the same people for a number of years, I began to realize that the basic difference between life in the East and life in the West, for me, was basically that in the East, as you grow, you learn to distrust people until you have grounds to trust them. And out here, you learn to trust people until you have grounds to distrust them. And I wouldn't have learned that way of life unless I moved out here. And as a result of that basic trait and the good fortunes of our company in the Northern California area of presenting musical events, we've been very fortunate, and we've earned a very good living. So on behalf of the people in our company and their families, I need to know if the words are quite right. We feel it a privilege to put up the first $1 million as a challenge grant? Challenge grant, which Tony will explain legally, spiritually, and technically.
I'm going to stay away from. Those of us that do a lot of fundraising know that it's pretty easy when you start out with that sort of a commitment from somebody. Bill has agreed to essentially to match those donations that we receive on the telethon up to the first $1 million. And he also wants to make it clear that what he's doing is he's challenging other large donors to make sure that they be as generous as he has been, as he and the people in his company have been. It is an absolutely incredible gesture. It was announced to us about a week ago after we were already in the middle of all of the discussions for this, and it really reflects a great community spirit by a great local organization. Bill.
Thank you. Thank you. In the last few days, the offices, both at KQED and our offices, have been somewhat crazed. Acts are in, they can make it, we can make it another day. And of course, sometimes, why not first class? You know, what hotels, front view? So we've gone somewhat insane, but in that time, we've, all of us, written some notes in the office, and we were supposed to get them together last night. I didn't, so there are some things that we want to get across to you and to the people listening and watching, which are very important to us, because there are many, many people in the company and at KQED who've been working exhausting hours. Here in Northern California, we've always thought we had the best vibrations anywhere, until this past October 17th, when Mother Nature taught us a lesson. The children and adults that survived in body but lost homes and jobs must be recognized. We cannot leave them to fend for themselves. These neighbors desperately need our support. From our sharing, we can buy relief, temporary or permanent. With money, we can rent trailers for the homeless until homes are available. With money, we can hire tutors for the children. With money, we can rebuild the places of worship that are cornerstones of our communities, such as the devastated St. Patrick's Church in Watsonville. With money, we can begin to rebuild our business centers, large and small, so that those left homeless can rejoin us in the real day-to-day world. With money, we can assist all of our neighbors to re-enter our society, to give them a true sense of hope, that they are cared about, that they belong, that we, their neighbors, do care and will continue to care. We must show by example. It's our moral obligation to do unto others as we would have others do unto us. We're looking to raise a lot of money. Please join us on Sunday, November 26th for a day of giving and sharing our good fortunes by coming to the concerts and or send money to earthquake relief. Let us not forget that this is everybody's fault. We all know that media has fully covered the devastation in Oakland and San Francisco, as it should have. But there was also Hollister and Watsonville and Santa Cruz, and other places and names unknown to most of us. The downtown areas are gone. They don't exist. It just happened in 15 seconds. We have several ways of suggesting you to contribute. Come to a concert. If you have extra money, leave it at a bucket at the facility. Make a contribution to KQED earthquake relief for that day. This is all ready. Buy a t-shirt. One of the suggestions we all had, and if you have more, we'd love to hear from you what ideas you might have. It's a few days after Thanksgiving. We would suggest to the public to take your leftovers. Have your friends come over, have a party, let them bring their leftovers, charge admission into your home, and send us the money. Last, since we are involved with things, meaning tickets, that sometimes have no price because of the idolatry that is put on the artist. Something at random that we hope somebody will pick up on. We're looking for the big spenders of Northern California. If you give us $100,000, we will give you 2 tickets for every show for a year. If you give $500,000, we'll give you 4 tickets. If you give us $1 million, we'll give you almost anything but 8 tickets for now. If you give us $1 million more, we'll give you those 8 tickets, and I offer 4 hours of my casual labor per day for a year. As I said before now, but I'd like to take a minute of your time and repeat this. Every artist contacted said, count on me, simple as that. Some couldn't make it on that exact date, and we'll schedule additional shows in the near future to accommodate all the respective timetables. The response was extraordinary, adding proof that we do live in a very special place on God's earth. The singers, dancers, comics, instrumentalists, to them we offer our sincerest gratitude because they are the ones that the people wish to see and to listen to. We have a special visitor that we asked to be present through friends of ours, that the Lazitzian singers from Armenia will be with us as a symbol of the tie between Chernobyl and Northern California. I want to take a moment and thank Tony Tiano and the entire KQED family for being as exemplary as they have been to us. Without their guidance, I don't think we would be here. As an example, a friend of mine in Los Angeles, friend of ours in Los Angeles, heard about this press conference this morning and called me last night very late and said, "Is that true?" I said, "Yes." His name is Lou Adler, an old friend, and he was the organizer of the Monterey Pop Festival. He said, "Here's 10 grand," like that. A little low, but. We wish. That's terrible, isn't it? We wish to be sure and thank Mayor Agnost in being with us, and Mayor Wilson of Oakland in being with us, and Mayor Murphy of Watsonville. We're sorry that Mayor McInerney of San Jose couldn't make it, and Mayor Warnhout of Santa Cruz, but I know that they're here in spirit, and we know that we will count on them for their assistance in those areas throughout this series of exercises. There is no clear ending. We should also like to thank Paul Kantner from Jefferson Airplane, who's here, Carlos Santana, who's here, and these guys are always here. Whenever you push their button, they always respond. It's an extraordinary thought that they're always there. I couldn't write out what we all owe them. David Freiberg from Quicksilver Messenger Service, Ron Pulte, the manager of Quicksilver Messenger Service, and Walter Salwitz from the Dynatones. I'll turn this over to Tony, but if I don't get a chance later on, I will thank you now.
There'll be a chance for some questions for Bill in just a moment. Bill, as I understand it, Carlos wants to say something. I'll let you do an introduction. No.
I'd really like to very briefly tell you something that Carlos is always embarrassed to hear. But he's been a friend of mine for 23 years, and obviously an extraordinary musician, but a purveyor of good times and good feelings. Pelvic madness. In 1967, we had a show with the Cream and Paul Butterfield and someone else, and I was sitting in my office above the front door at the Fillmore, and it was a very rainy night, and there were 2 people outside on the windowsill trying to get in. Somehow they climbed up the drain pipe, and I went over and I opened the window and got these 2 guys in, soaking wet. and one of them was Carlos, and he had a harmonica in his pocket, and I said, what are you doing here? He said, what does it look like I'm doing here? And then I heard the band and realized what he was about to do, and if I were to take, there are a lot of great artists, if I were to take one single artist, if I had a shot of taking one guy and his band around the world to express good feelings, and the languages don't mean anything, if it's Africa or Asia, Russia, Europe, United States, everywhere, he is always respected, but more than that, he is always loved. Carlos Santana.
Thank you very much. I believe I can speak on behalf of the Spanish community. And on behalf of the Spanish community, we are very grateful to Bill Graham and all of the people here for coming forward with their soulful heart of service to the brothers and sisters of Watsonville. Also, we are all very moved these times and encouraged to see the Berlin Wall come down, be no more. Yet we have our own walls in here that we are still to bring down. South Africa, South America, and our backyard, the South. Watsonville is a home to many people whose lives affect our lives directly and indirectly. Who else picks up the food from the ground that long and that hard for that pay? I think that all these people, all my brothers and sisters, are needed. It's a guarantee from us that we are willing to treat them with love and respect and dignity, not so much like human beings, but like children of God. To all of you here, thank you very much for your soulful heart of service. Thank you very much.
Is there a specific reason why you introduce all the shirts and ties and I introduce all of these people? There were a few bands around in the 60s when we all got started, and being lucky to be in the right place at the right time. And one of these bands was involved with the very first benefit show we ever did at the Fillmore, and it was to raise money for the legal battles of the San Francisco Meme Troupe, of which I was a part for some years. And one of the writers, vocalists, and guitar players in the band is with us today, and it shouldn't sound like a tape, but all of these people that I met many, many years ago, we all have something in common. We knew how good we had it here, and we wanted to preserve it. And here we are many years later, and we're still trying to do the same thing. And this gentleman, as much as, maybe more, but as much as any individual I know, has done more benefits and has been involved with this community as deeply as anyone I know. A good friend, Paul Kantner.
I think what we all have in common is that we're still alive after all these years. And more importantly, after the earthquake. I think most of us in this room and most of the musicians I know are the lucky ones who had very little, if any, direct results of the earthquake impact our lives. So it's all the more pleasure to be able to get up and contribute whatever services or organizational talents we all might have to fixing up what went on here for those of us who didn't come out so lucky. My own son came out real lucky on the earthquake because the earthquake dislodged all of his hidden Christmas presents from the shelf in the closet. And he didn't have to go to school for 3 or 4 days. And he said, when's the next earthquake coming? More to the point, though, benefits have always been in the nature of this community, back from bail benefits for the free speech movement, was just where we got started, to just playing free in the park to raise rent benefits for our friends. And it seems so easy to do, is that musicians It's not the people who really do the work are the Bill Graham's organization, the people who build the stages, the people who organize the television benefits and man the phones and man the lights and the sound. All we have to do is play, and it's more of a pleasure than anything. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for coming and giving us the opportunity once again to play and let the games begin.
Bill, I'd like to have you come up if you would, and we'll try to take your questions of anybody here on the dais. Here.
Yes, ma'am.
You touched on this a bit, but ever since you came to town, you've always been the first guy to give a hand, to be kind of like a one-man united way. What is it in your own personal life, your background, that has motivated you personally to be so generous?
Well, the main reason really to doing this is that I want to get, I've always hoped that the police would notice what we did. So I have a problem with speeding tickets. Now, this is true, and then I'll answer your question. A few weeks ago, I was stopped somewhere in Northern California, and the policeman pulled me over, and I know most of the policemen in Marin County. And he comes up, and as he comes up to my window, he says, "Rolling Stones are coming, huh, Bill?" So it's a great advantage. I really don't know, but if I had to find an answer without getting too maudlin, there might be a difference, because you only live once, to the best of my knowledge. I shouldn't have. Many people here will argue with that. I was an orphan early on, and I came to America by myself when I was young, and I began to work as early as possible. And I have to believe that survival is probably the single most important word to me, and I assume that it would be to anyone.